Imagine this. You're a solo indie developer that had many different game design attempts in the past. You find a very interesting simple rhythm-based platformer with one button called the impossible game. You make a game inspired out of it. No lore, just jumps and music. At first it's just a mobile game, but with an insane catch. It has a level editor for custom maps. People play it on the bus, at school, during breaks. Some get frustrated and quit, others keep going. Then, after updating the game multiple times and adding a bunch of new features, something unexpected happens. Players start pushing the game way beyond what you imagined. Harder and harder demons are created. The skill ceiling explodes, and what was known as just an app, now it's a game engine. Years pass, and instead of dying like most mobile games, Geometry Dash becomes one of the most competitive, creative, and demanding games in the world. Sounds good, right? Well, actually no. Being RobTop sucks, and here's why. Responsibility. RobTop didn't just create a game, he created a platform. Geometry Dash is no longer defined by its official levels. It's defined by millions of community-made levels, thousands of creators, and an entire competitive ecosystem. Every single update and even every minor change he makes affects physics consistency, muscle memory built over years, and millions of existing levels. And once a new update is released, there's no undo button. And the fact that he is the only and main responsibility for the development puts all the stakes on his hands. One small change can break old levels, invalidate challenges, or completely shift what's possible in the game. There are hundreds of known bugs on GD that just can't be patched, because if they do, thousands of levels will just break, including rated ones. Speaking of rated levels, RobTop also has the responsibility of not only rating every single level, but also every day choosing a new daily, every week choosing a new weekly demon, choosing a new event level and gauntlet levels, programming 2.21, assigning new moderators and checking the current ones, and so much more. Sure, he can always hire someone to give the ability to do those things, but the main problem is that it would create an inevitable inconsistency between the choices. Some levels would have different standards than others to be rated, and RobTop would still have to monitor the game to see if everything is aligned correctly. He can't just throw it in someone else's hands and hope it will be alright. RobTop is also, in the end, responsible for anything bad that happens in the community itself. For example, when Space UK won the award as the best player from 2021 and 2022, which were uploaded on RobTop's channel, RobTop took the main responsibility to nominate and award him. And now, even after being exposed as a hacker, he is immortalized there and the real winners will never receive their prize. Another really good example, and one of the strongest ones, are dramas towards the moderator team. Each time there's an exposal or leak that one of them did bad stuff, which is usually when they really like children, it also affects RobTop directly too, since he put those people to represent the community for years. Not only that, but Geometry Dash is also rated for everyone to play, including kids, so he has a responsibility to keep the game clean for everyone. And creators nowadays put the most unexpected things on their levels that he can't rate, sometimes even hidden, going from an innocent middle finger to literally anti-Semitic stuff. RobTop has to be aware 100% of the time. Update expectations. Geometry Dash updates are not regular updates, they are events. Rob is the only developer the game has as well, so to get a new update, it all depends on how fast he is. And unfortunately, a big part of the community doesn't seem to understand how complicated it is to gather all the valid ideas for the game, program it, design the assets, set the servers, and so much more. Years of waiting build massive expectations, and a lot of times, some stuff just doesn't go as planned. For example, in the most recent update, RobTop officially added his version of CBF to the game, but we already have multiple people complaining because his version is not as good as the modded ones. If the update is too small, people say it was pointless. If it's too big, people say it ruined the game. If it adds new mechanics, players complain about overflowing the game. If it doesn't, creators say the game is stagnating. No matter what you do, someone will be disappointed. One of the reasons that Update 2.2 took 7 years to be released was because RobTop was constantly adding new features to it, not only because he wanted to implement them, but because it was stuff the community was hungry for. It was the biggest update in the game's history, so he could not disappoint. Third-party interventions. During the years, unfortunately, RobTop had to face a lot of different people either modding the game or just going to attack the servers themselves. The main examples are the known cheats. In the past, we didn't have stuff like MegaHack that were collabing with RobTop, but instead, individual programs to do specific stuff like NoClip. Now imagine you were a game developer and someone makes a cheat for your game that literally makes the player immune, allowing them to complete any level. The rational decision would be to patch it, right? But when you do, they come back again and again and again. And while you have to patch it multiple times, you also have to keep developing the next update of the game, because the community is also demanding that. And patching cheats is only the tip of the iceberg. In 2017, Geometry Dash had the biggest hacking scandal of its history. Thousands of accounts were leaked, including from famous players and creators in the community. RobTop fixed what he could, but the damage was already done. The data of so many accounts were lost, and we even had people impersonating others. You gotta remember, everyone involved were just teens. Anaban himself, who was one of the hackers involved, was a teen as well, and RobTop was the one who had to clean all the mess and fix the game. That was one of the reasons the updates had to be delayed. Community conflicts. The fact that RobTop rates every single level in the game has its pros and cons. As mentioned before, one of the pros is having consistency in the standards that himself can control, but obviously, one of the cons is always being responsible for every level getting rated or not. RobTop is not a machine like a lot of people think. He is a human being. He spends most of his time working and programming, when he doesn't even have to, but all of that is because he is passionate about the game. But after spending hours every day working on it, he definitely does not want to spend more time giving all of his attention to GD. This is where the community conflicts begin. RobTop receives a lot of hate for taking too long to do certain things sometimes, such as rating levels like the top 1 hardest demon, Thinking Space 2, that took months to get star rated, even though it had all the spotlight from the community when it was verified. Why? Because RobTop does not use his free time to search for community news. Sure, he has his moderators and people that pass important information for him, but he can't pay attention to every single level and event that is happening while working fully at the game. Speaking about levels like TS2, it's also insanely hard for RobTop to rate these levels simply because he is not good enough to check the level by himself. He has zero time to improve and become a better player, relying on the community's ratings and opinions. Atypical dev. RobTop is definitely different from most other game developers. He is extremely honest in not putting stuff in GD like microtransactions, gacha, or ads, when he definitely could have made even more money from those things. As mentioned before, he also works in the game 100% by himself. He is passionate about it, but obviously that ends up backfiring from one way or the other, because he is kinda stuck on doing this forever. Yes, he can hire people to do the job for him, but what if it doesn't work? GD itself is in a pretty good position as it is, but imagine RobTop puts more people to have the same power as him, and the game just becomes worse. Or new decisions made just make the community angrier. GD was only made by him, not a team of devs. There's not a big company behind everything taking care, and he also has to face the consequences of being an atypical developer. Loss of control over the narrative. Unfortunately, not everyone in the community is aware of all those reasons that we mentioned, so because of that, RobTop often falls into false narratives and accusations. YouTubers, players, creators, and even well-intentioned community figures end up filling the gaps with speculation, assumptions, or half-truths. Over time, these interpretations spread faster than corrections ever could, turning uncertainty into common knowledge and framing RobTop as careless, lazy, or intentionally silent even when none of that is accurate. The problem is that once a narrative takes hold, it becomes almost impossible to undo. Any delay, lack of communication, or vague statement gets filtered through those existing assumptions, reinforcing them instead of challenging them. RobTop isn't just fighting technical problems or development hurdles anymore. He's constantly reacting to a version of himself that the community has collectively imagined. and the larger the community grows, the less control he has over how his actions or inaction are perceived. The money. I mean, how can one person have this much money? He probably has to pay a lot of taxes. Poor Robert.